If you're a self-taught programmer trying to break into the tech industry, I have some bad news for you. The market is not too welcoming to entry-level talent nowadays, with the economic downturn and layoffs forcing companies to focus more on finding and retaining senior talent. And to add insult to injury, the days of teaching yourself how to program in 6 months and then landing a six-figure tech job are over. And being a self-taught programmer myself, I'm qualified to speak on this because even 5 years ago, I struggled to land my first job. But if I'm able to do it, then I believe you can too. That's why in this video, I'm going to share several tips on how you can stand out in the current job market today as a self-taught programmer. If you stick to the end of the video, you'll learn everything you need to know to gain an advantage over other candidates, even those who have computer science degrees. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Every programmer's journey starts with one crucial question. What should I specialize in? I know this might be hard at first, but you need to sit down and really think what interests you the most. Do you like working on the front end or the back end? Do you like developing mobile apps? Or maybe you find machine learning interesting. I encourage you to experiment with different technologies in the beginning, but eventually you're going to have to settle on one thing. The reason for this is employers don't want to hire a jack of all trades or a master of none. They want somebody who already has solid domain knowledge in one area. When I first started out, I was learning every programming language and framework under the sun, and I never got called for interviews because my skill set was all over the place. Once I settled on iOS development as my specialty, I was able to market myself better, and recruiters were actually calling and reaching out to me. So if you don't have a specialty, then figure that out first. All right, next let's talk about one of the biggest problems facing every self-taught programmer, and that is lack of real-world experience. It's like a cyclical problem. You need experience to get a job, but if you don't have a job, how do you get experience? And this is where most self-taught programmers struggle, because computer science grads don't have this problem. By the time most CS majors graduate, they've already had at least one or two internships under their belt. So then, what can you do? Well, you have a few options, which are building challenging projects, contributing to open source, or freelancing. First, let me talk about projects. Don't fill your portfolio with simple websites, apps, or tutorial projects. You want to put your best foot forward, so you need something really impressive. Generally speaking, an impressive project is something that follows CRUD, which stands for Create, Read, Update, and Delete. This acronym refers to operations you can perform on databases. The reason you want your project to follow CRUD is that every real-world application or website out there uses a database of some sort. And so retrieving and manipulating stored data is crucial for learning how production code bases work. The more complexity you can add to a project, the better. Things like hosting the project online, adding a CI/CD pipeline, account creation, social authentication, the list goes on. You want the project to be scalable. In other words, designed in a way that allows future expansion. It should also be creative, have a good UI and UX, and have good documentation. A good project will take you weeks to build, if not months, not a few days. In this sense, it's important to adopt a quality over quantity mindset when building projects. When you're just starting out, it's okay to put these projects on your resume. Besides projects, you can also contribute to open source. This involves exploring trending repositories on GitHub and engaging with the project maintainers. By reaching out to the project maintainers, you can discover ways to contribute. You can start with small tasks and gradually work your way up to more complex features. Make sure to follow contribution guidelines and maintain good communication with others on the project. The reason why I like open source is because it mimics what it's like to work on a real project. And now, the final way to gain experience is freelancing. This one is self-explanatory. Sign up for freelancing websites like Upwork or Fiverr and start looking for work. You can start with simple tasks, and as you get more confident, you can take on bigger projects. The benefit of freelancing is you have the opportunity to work on unique projects and with people. You also get paid. You can think of it as a paid learning opportunity. Alright, so those are the top 3 ways to gain experience as a self-taught programmer, but we're not done yet. Another crucial skill that you must develop if you're self-taught is to network. Networking is one of the most important things you can do. It's how I was able to land my first job. The thing is, networking is more than just making connections. It's about nurturing them over time. Take the initiative to expand your network by reaching out to recruiters directly and engaging with industry-related content on LinkedIn. Join groups and participate in discussions. This is a good way to meet others online. Connect with software engineers at companies you admire and be authentic and offer value to others in your network. Try to think of networking as an investment. The more you build up your network, the more career opportunities you'll have down the line. Lastly, let's talk about preparing for behavioral interviews. Behavioral interviews are just as important as coding interviews. You are almost guaranteed to get asked a behavioral question at some point during an interview, which is why you shouldn't neglect them. The thing is, some self-taught programmers may feel that since they don't have any industry experience, they can't answer these types of questions. But that couldn't be further from the truth. One thing you can do to prepare is to collect your past experiences. More specifically, think of times when you displayed leadership or success at doing something, whether in work, internships, or school, and also tough technical challenges you faced. Having experiences ready to go at the top of your head eases the stress you might face when answering behavioral questions. There is also a proven pattern you can follow when answering behavioral questions, and it's called the STAR format, which stands for situation, task, action, result. Being able to articulate your experiences effectively allows you to showcase your suitability for the role and differentiate yourself from other candidates. Remember, interviews are not just about technical skills. They're also an opportunity to demonstrate your ability to communicate effectively. By focusing on these tips, you'll be able to stand out from the thousands of other self-taught programmers who don't do these things. Alright, if you made it this far, thank you. And as a special reward, I'm going to offer 2 bonus tips that I'm sure you'll find helpful. The first of which is to not psych yourself out of job opportunities. I know it's hard sometimes, especially when there are entry-level jobs out there that require 5 years of experience, but the reality is that if you meet at least 50% of the requirements of the job, then just apply. Expecting a candidate to meet 100% of what's asked in a job description is unrealistic, and recruiters know this. You can think of job postings like a wish list. They just list everything the recruiter thinks they can get for the role. So if you see a job posting and you meet most of the requirements, just apply and see what happens. That then leads me to the final tip of this video, which is to apply to non-tech companies. What I mean is, instead of focusing on tech companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, etc., instead shift your focus to industries like banks, insurance, and even the government. The reason being is that these industries have been less affected by the tech layoffs in the past couple of years. Sure, they may not pay as much as Google, but having a job is better than no job. And frankly, as a self-taught programmer in 2024, beggars can't be choosers. Now, I don't want to sound all doom and gloom, but as someone who took the self-taught route, you have to be realistic about your job choices, and the experience you get at these jobs can still serve as a stepping stone to greater things. I know how hard it is to be a self-taught programmer, and I hope the tips I shared in this video can help you out. But the thing about software engineering jobs is that to get one, you have to undergo the dreaded coding interview. Now, there are many strategies out there to prepare for these types of interviews, but one of the best resources to do so is LeetCode. But you may be LeetCoding all wrong. That's why in this video, I share the 3 things you can do to improve your problem-solving skills. So if that sounds interesting, then do me a favor and check that video out right now. In any case, I'll see you in the next video.